It was the biggest day of Daniel Harris' life. After 3 long years of struggling between part-time jobs, single parenting, and endless bills, he had finally gotten a call for a final interview at the largest construction company in the city, a position that could change everything for him and his 10-year-old daughter, Emily. He stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his only decent suit, slightly worn at the cuffs, but freshly pressed. Emily sat at the kitchen table, swinging her legs, her small backpack beside her. "You look nervous, Daddy," she said with a teasing smile, munching on her cereal. Daniel chuckled softly. "Of course, I'm nervous. This job means a lot." He walked over, bent down, and kissed her forehead. "Once I get this job, no more instant noodles for dinner, deal?" Emily grinned. "Deal, but I kind of like noodles." He laughed, ruffling her hair. It had been tough since his wife passed away 5 years ago. Raising Emily alone while working as a delivery driver had drained him, but she was his reason to keep going. Today, he could finally give her the life she deserved. They left the apartment together. The morning air was crisp, and Daniel's car, a 15-year-old sedan that coughed more than it purred, sat at the curb. Emily climbed in, humming a tune, while Daniel adjusted his tie one last time before starting the car. He dropped her off at school, hugging her tightly before she ran inside. "Good luck, Daddy," she shouted, waving from the gate. He waved back, his heart swelling. Everything would change today. He got back into the car and merged onto the highway, rehearsing his answers in his head. "Why should we hire you? What's your greatest strength?" He had practiced them 100 times. The GPS said he'd reach the company's building with 15 minutes to spare. Perfect timing, but fate had other plans. As he approached the intersection near the industrial park, traffic slowed suddenly. He frowned and leaned forward. A thick plume of smoke was rising ahead. Cars were stopped in both lanes, and people were getting out. He could see a small silver SUV smashed against a light pole, the front crushed, the windshield shattered. Daniel's pulse quickened. Through the glass, he saw a woman slumped over the steering wheel, motionless. For a split second, he hesitated. His mind screamed, "You can't stop, you'll miss the interview." But another voice, softer yet louder in his heart, said, "Someone's life could be ending right now." He pulled over, jumped out, and ran toward the car. The air smelled of burnt rubber and leaking gasoline. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he shouted, tugging at the door. It was jammed. The woman groaned faintly, her face pale and streaked with blood. Other drivers stood nearby, some filming on their phones, others yelling for help but doing nothing. Daniel's hands shook as he grabbed a tire iron from his trunk and smashed the window. The sound made him flinch, but he didn't stop. Carefully, he reached in and unlocked the door. "It's okay, I'm here," he said gently. "You're going to be fine." He unbuckled her seatbelt, trying not to panic at the sight of blood on her arm. The fuel smell was stronger now. "We have to get her out," he shouted to a man standing nearby. "The tank might catch fire." Together, they pulled her from the car and laid her gently on the ground a few feet away. Daniel tore off his jacket and pressed it against the wound on her head to slow the bleeding. "Stay with me," he whispered. "You're going to be all right." The woman's lips moved weakly. My name's Sarah." "Okay, Sarah, help is on the way." Within minutes, the sirens grew louder. The paramedics rushed in, taking over. One of them looked up at Daniel. "You saved her life, man. A few more minutes and that car could have gone up." Daniel nodded, but as he looked at his watch, his stomach dropped. He was already 30 minutes late. The company's building was 15 minutes away, and he was covered in glass and blood that wasn't his. Still, he grabbed a bottle of water from his trunk, wiped his face, and got back in the car. He arrived breathless, hair disheveled, his shirt torn at the sleeve. The receptionist's eyes widened as he entered. "Sir, do you have an appointment?" "Yes, Daniel Harris, for the construction supervisor position." She checked the clock. "Mr. Harris, your interview was scheduled for 10 a.m. It's almost 11. Please," he said, desperation in his voice. "There was an accident. I helped someone trapped in a car. Please, I just need 5 minutes." The receptionist hesitated, then called upstairs. After a moment, she said, "I'm sorry, sir, the hiring manager has already left for another meeting." Daniel's shoulders sank. "I understand," he murmured. He walked out slowly, feeling the weight of defeat pressing on his chest. He sat in his car for a long time, staring blankly at the steering wheel. He had done the right thing, he told himself, but the right thing had cost him everything. That night, Emily ran to greet him as soon as he entered the apartment. "Did you get the job, Daddy?" she asked eagerly. He forced a smile. "Not this time, sweetie." Her face fell. "Oh." She hesitated, then hugged him tightly. "It's okay, Daddy, you're still the best." He hugged her back, his throat tight. "Thanks, Pumpkin." They spent the evening watching her favorite movie, though Daniel barely noticed what was happening on screen. His mind replayed the day again and again, the woman's bleeding head, the broken glass, the missed opportunity. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. Daniel frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. He opened the door to find a well-dressed man standing there, holding a folder. "Mr. Harris?" the man asked. "Yes, my name is Mark Dalton. I work for Ms. Sarah Coleman." Daniel blinked. "Sarah? The woman from the accident?" "Yes, sir. She's recovering at St. Mary's Hospital. She asked me to find you. She wanted to thank you personally, you saved her life." Daniel shook his head. "I'm just glad she's okay." "She's more than okay," Mark said with a smile. "Actually, she'd like to see you if you have a moment." Curious and unsure, Daniel agreed. At the hospital, Sarah sat propped up in bed, her arm in a sling, a faint bruise on her forehead. When she saw Daniel, her eyes softened with gratitude. "You're the man who saved me. I just did what anyone would do," he said quietly. "No," she said firmly. "Most people stood there and filmed. You acted. You risked your own safety." He shrugged, embarrassed. "You don't need to thank me. I'm just sorry I was late for something important that day." Her expression changed. "Late? For what?" "My final job interview," he said. "I really needed that job, but I guess some things are more important." Sarah looked at him thoughtfully. "What kind of job?" "Construction supervisor." It was for Greenbuild Enterprises. Her lips parted slightly, and a small smile spread across her face. "Greenbuild," she said slowly. "That's my company." Daniel froze. "Your company?" "Yes," she said, laughing softly. "I'm Sarah Coleman, CEO of Greenbuild." For a moment, he couldn't speak. The universe seemed to pause around him. She continued, "When I woke up and heard what happened, I asked my assistant to find you. I couldn't believe someone would risk so much for a stranger." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, speechless. Sarah's voice softened. "Mr. Harris, if you're still interested, I'd like you to come in tomorrow." "Not for an interview, for your first day." He stared at her, stunned. "You mean, you're offering me the job?" "I'm offering you something better," she said. "A career." "You showed more courage, initiative, and compassion in one moment than most people do in a lifetime. That's the kind of person I want in my company." Daniel's throat tightened. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," she said with a smile. He smiled back, the first genuine smile in a long time. "Yes, absolutely yes." When he returned home that evening, Emily was doing her homework on the couch. She looked up as he entered. "You look happy, Daddy. What happened?" He knelt down in front of her, tears glistening in his eyes. "I got the job, sweetheart." Her face lit up. "Really? That's amazing." She threw her arms around him. "I knew it. You always say good things happen when you do good things." He held her close, realizing how true that was. In the days that followed, Daniel started his new position at Greenbuild. Sarah visited often, watching him interact with the workers, always humble, always kind. She saw how everyone respected him, not just for his skills, but for his heart. One afternoon, she called him into her office. "I wanted to let you know," she said, "we're starting a new community outreach program, building affordable homes for single parents. I'd like you to lead it." He looked at her, surprised. "That's incredible." She smiled. "You know better than anyone what it means to start over." That evening, Daniel stood at the construction site, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. Emily ran toward him, waving, her laughter echoing across the lot. He lifted her into his arms, feeling the warmth of the setting sun on his face. Sometimes, life doesn't go the way you planned, but every choice, every sacrifice, leads you exactly where you're meant to be. For Daniel Harris, slipping his big interview to save a stranger wasn't the end of his dream. It was the beginning of something far greater, a second chance, not just for him, but for everyone whose lives he would help build from that day forward.